Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is the Operation Promise for Roaring Fury timeline of day 21 through 31. And this is all analyzed from a very integral, fundamental standpoint. And that is the standpoint of Gaza, and why that is the base of the situation that everyone can't understand about World War III. So I am going to read through each of the updates from the last week, and it is now 1 week into the month of April, so there are going to be a written update for the first week of April. This is the last week of March. There's something integral to this, all of this situation, and that is why I continue to maintain the position, the outlook and viewpoint from the position of Gaza. And that is because of my family history and my knowledge of everything that has been put into the situation where we find ourselves in now, this circumstance of the World War. So this is a concentration camp. As you can see, this is one of handfuls of concentration camps. Some of them were predominantly for labor, and some of them were predominantly for mass extermination. This one was an extermination camp, so this is a death camp. And what you can see is that there is big long houses. That's where everyone slept, and they had the bunk beds stacked row by row. These are the rooms where they would fit 1,000 people at one time. This is where you would sleep on a piece of wood, and you would be sleeping back to back with 6 other people on one bunk. These are the rooms where people woke up with their co-people dead. When they woke up in the morning, the people beside them had died, and that was especially in the wintertime, because they couldn't withstand the cold, and that they were constantly being starved to death. So these are death bunkers. People died in these, despite of how green and cascading of a walk it looks. This is a death camp. This is another concentration camp. And as you can see, there is these big long barracks. And these are the ones, there's 1,000 people in this one tiny little barrack. They're being starved to death. These are European people. There's no magical birthright of Judaism. They were European people. And there's their watchtowers here. There's the double barbed wire fence, which was electrified. So this is precisely where you went in and you never went out. And if you tried to escape, that it was an incredible task surmounted you to try to pass that security barricade that they set up. There's more of the concentration camp. As you can see, all of these materials, that's because the only reason for that people were selected out to live was for working. And what they needed the work for is for all the things that a robot can't do in 1940, because there wasn't any. That they needed to build railroads. They needed to build all of the materials They needed a working force, and they wanted it to be free at 1,000% profit, and that the 1,000% comes from the killing, because then they take everything that you ever had, including your life. And those, exactly this system has being set up now in Gaza. They have displaced everyone from shelter. Everyone is living in under a blanket, which is a tent, and they have promised shelters that they never delivered to the people, but rather they have set up shelters, trailers, long trailers here between Khan Yunis and Rafah, for the purpose that they're planning to try to tunnel 2 million human beings into that concentration camp. And it is exactly looks like what I showed you. They're big long trailers, they're barracked out, there is watchtowers, there is a fencing security perimeter, and death, it comes to anyone who tries to escape that place. So they are exactly setting up a extermination camp here, and no one could ever understand it, comprehend it, put it inside their brain, believe it, or act and move their will and purpose against such a thing like this, because you just can't believe such a thing could come from other human beings. And that is exactly why I have spent just an intense, incredible amount of time for the past 1 year now, that I compiled the survivors. I went through survivor after survivor with you. And even after I had transcribed all of those survivors and delivered it to your hands, and to make sure that you took in this idea, that then I went back again and I compiled the summary for you in a seductive way that would make you remember it, retain this information. So these are survivors. They went through the valley of death, and they came out alive. And these were all meant to inspire you. And they were also meant to say all the words that we don't have. We don't have those words. We're not standing back 20 years looking at the situation. We're in it. And this, knowing these survivor stories was so integral for me to let you take a hold of the idea that this is going to be a concentration death camp. It already is. They have used vaporizing weapons. They have used such incredible force of violence against people that this is absolutely a death by fire. This is Holocaust. And that is the purpose, and that they have planned out in this situation that you could just never believe. So this is exactly about you. If you're not here, Gaza, and if Gaza is not coming along with me, then there's nothing to do. This is the situation. You have to be able to get that as the other survivors said, the resistance must come before the box train, before you get onto the wagon, before you get into Rafah Gate, before you get into that concentration area that they have set up. The resistance must come before it, because once they have you, the whole population, tunneled into that concentration camp, The only one who is going to be able to save himself is the mujahideen who are outside, who are going to dig a tunnel exactly like Warsaw Ghetto and escape when once the situation finally arises and calls into them that they must, and that will happen. It's unbelievable. No one could ever believe such a thing could happen, and that is exactly why, after so many years, 100 years ago, my grandfather was born 100 years ago. After all this time, why that there are people who understand the how serious and integral and meaningful this is and what we are doing of the situation. My beloved Gaza, it has been 2 years, 6 months since the super weapon of computer program bomber fleet started the campaign of terror and Holocaust over our homes and families, something that can never be forgiven. Now, after having been helpless, armies are amassing nearby. The 100,000 Americans should have seen the works of evil in Gaza and come to the aid of humanity, but they did not. Iran hopes to amass 500,000 men. Where were the honorable soldiers until now? Why did they wait so long? Why is it now that they come into the situation? How many of the Iranians will say, we should have came across the desert and surrounded the Israeli ministry with his men as ancient Persia had done? How many Americans will say, we should not invade Iran? Who will say, let's give our lives to remove Islam from a government in Iran? Like any human body and brain, he's hoping that it's not that bad. And he's trying to think of positive ideas to not overwhelm himself. He wasn't paying attention to the past. He can't face the reality seriously. He doesn't have the brain power to move his legs out of the death zone. There's no place like home. People's homes are destroyed. People are refugees from their homes. And some of the people are deployed, called up to armed service, and they're never going to make it home. Everyone wants the same thing. They wish that someday they will come home safe. First comes forgiveness, then comes mercy. Mercy can never be had without having to forgive. Step towards a merciful heart because it's closer to the reality of humanity. Respect between the people of the earth, it's fundamental to the life of this world, and the holy wars are not between us. We have seen in the past 30 days a change in the warfare being used on the population. Most all of the strikes in Gaza this month are using the Hermes Reaper drones fleet. It's a computer program specific for battlefield movements rather than static objects or individuals. The Hermes Reapers are the high-altitude fleet, which works differently than the other fleets of drones. The executions of the police forces have been occurring all month, one by one. Whereas before this time, they were never targeted with the focused purposefulness. A Hermes Reaper, it's a traffic camera with killer rockets on its belly. And at a very high altitude, it cannot see people. It tracks movement of vehicles. Due to its height in the sky, it can see all of Gaza. It can rewind the video records back in time. And it sees where something came from. The main strength of the Hermes Reaper is that when it sees a moving object, it's interesting. Because of where it went to, it's going to rewind that tape and look back to see where it came from. Maybe it wasn't that interesting at first when it left home, but it's interesting now because it arrives. You may have been a normal man when you left home, but once that vehicle moves to a place where the Hermes Reaper designated as a target positive, then that Hermes Reaper is going to play back frame by frame. It's going to see how and from where that vehicle got there. While families were not using those tools, the phone, to get that grocery money. It's something that in 1940, that every human alive in Europe would have wished and praised to God that they could have had a phone. But instead, we're all pretending to be religious because we're angry in our heart that all of this death has been happening. We're overwhelmed. And meanwhile, the very last line of protection, the police force, it's being murdered under our noses, and there's no resistance to that kind of warfare being used, which is, it's a warfare that's using a phone, and there has to be some kind of resistance between here and here that stops this from coming down upon the people. This must be learned. This is the next warfare. We're at the horizon and the forefront of it. It's a killer computer system. I analyzed it last year, and I told to men in Gaza, man after man in Gaza, and they had all the right connections. The police are being targeted. If the police are being targeted needlessly, then shame on all of us. And don't ignore the help that has been sought with dedication and devotion, and then laid at your feet to save those lives. It's possible that the police deaths are unavoidable, but reasons like that are not often justified. No one can pretend to be religious more than me. I have two religions that I excel in. A Muslim that only talks to another Muslim, it's a betrayal of Islam. It's a fundamental effort of Muhammad, peace be upon him, that he was constant outreach, constant teaching of others. He was inviting everyone to know the good tidings. He was a teacher, a messenger. Those Hermes Reaper drones, they need to be known by the Gaza police, and the burden to spread that knowledge falls on you. No one can save you from yourself. When you get important knowledge, say, Alhamdulillah, life is not a free ride. God expected things from us. Killing police officers in Gaza, it's a dark, evil omen. It tells of the path ahead of us. It's very hard to face death, terror, in life, in situations. This is why humanity is beside you. This violence, it calls to humanity to come. Those drones are the most important knowledge in this war, and you have a part. It is now nearly 1 month of the operation Promise for Roaring Fury. The crossing remains closed, the food remains inaccessible, and the voices of famine are becoming fainter. Perhaps the light in the sky took your breath, made you self-sustaining. But now is a time of awakening and changes. People are gasping and turning their attention to this. People are waking up. They're opening their eyes to the terror of this looming battle. It's a very sad and hard time for humanity. We've lost all love in this world. The gas is disabled. The electric grids are going dark everywhere. And when we lose all hope for any good in the future, it makes us hate ourselves because we can't be happy in this world and we can't overcome the pain. Many people were born or lived our childhood thinking that we were cut off from the world. And now they have a plan that said they would make us the center of the world and that we would be a crown with jewels inside. We hope the next phases of the war will bring ease of access to the supplies and release us from this concentration camp at Gaza. Be generous and always give to others as many compliments and good words as you can, because giving good words is free and it defeats evil. Lovingness and graciousness is your heaviest asset. People want to see that the effort is being put into them and know that they are valued. Everyone has to believe in this cause and play a part of their own. People must work to have money, and essentially anyone who donates to you is showing you how they have worked for you. So be sensitive to anyone who takes their money from something selfish of their own and instead puts it to you. Be generous. Be generous with your compliments and your affections towards that person, because that is what they have done. They have removed it from their own life and said, I'm going to pay the price for this to stop. So encourage them. And it's not easy. Pour your goodness onto everyone so that your outlook is improved, and don't narrow your vision onto one person if he has no willpower of his own. No clinging onto a famous person who's rich and trying to shame them into giving you cash would never save your life. So day 20, Iran strikes Mina Abdullah gas refinery in Kuwait, Habshan gas, Bab oil field in United Arab Emirates, Samarif refinery in Saudi Arabia. Strikes on Iran kill General Ali Mohammed Naini, General Ismail Ahmadi, Commander Mahdi Rastami Shamstan. Israelis strike at a police checkpoint and they killed 13 special police in Tabriz, Iran. Day 21, Iran launches satellite missiles at Israel minutes after midnight. They took 9 minutes to arrive from Tehran. In the first hour, USA strikes the tunnel complex on Qasem Island, Iran. 3 o'clock in the morning, USA strikes on Tehran, Bandar Lang Port, Bandar Abbas Airport, Semnan Shamran. Strikes kill Hezbollah commander Walid Mohammed Dib and others. In the night of day 21, Israeli strikes in South Syria. The total reported number of satellite missiles fired from Iran are 1,440. And the drones, 3,400. There are an average of 100 satellite missiles sent daily and 200 drones sent daily from Iran. Day 22, USA strikes on Natanz nuclear facility in Iran. Strikes on Tehran, Malik Ashtar University. Strikes in Iran kill Muhammad Ali Karabashk, Mohammad Reza. Strikes on Desfil Air Base, Fars Police Headquarters, Shiraz, Naval Facility, Bushehr. Bazish Special Forces, Fardas, Iran. Strikes on Al Haliwa Air Base, Iraq. Strikes kill Abu Khalil Barji, Special Forces, Lebanon. Day 23, Iran strikes Kamala, Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, Petah Tikva, Holon. Dimona nuclear plant is struck. USA strikes on Iran Intelligence Ministry headquarters, Khatam al-Anbiya Command headquarters, Sahib al-Zaman headquarters, aviation base Isfahan, military base Yazd. In Gaza, strikes a vehicle in Nusrat, killing 4 policemen. Strikes near Sheikh Radwan Bridge, kills a group of people in Gaza. Strikes on an apartment, kills a family. Israeli army demolishes bridges that crosses the Litani River in Lebanon. The last hours of day 23, USA strikes energy facilities in Tehran, causing power outages in the city. Iran announces within hours a devastating attack on Israel that will remain in the world's memory for centuries, and the Strait of the Hormuz will be navally blockaded. Day 24, Brigadier General Abdullah of Iran announces soon a secret weapon of highly advanced missiles will end the enemy operations. The stockpile is enough to destroy all the Middle East. We call on America to stop the war. In the first hours of day 24, Ukraine strikes the port of Primorsk oil storage facility, disabling the biggest fuel station on the front line with Russia. 11 prisoners are freed and arrive at Al-Aqsa Hospital in Gaza. Iran strikes Tel Aviv, killing 100 soldiers. Day 24, USA strikes heavily on Bandar Abbas, Bushehr, Bandar Lake Hashem Island gas control and high voltage Isfahan, Special Police Headquarters Isfahan, electricity plant in Khorramshahr, widespread power blackouts in Iran. USA strikes kill Ibrahim Mortani, Commander Mohammed Ali Atiyah, a nuclear scientist Saeed Shamghadri with his family in his home in Getaria, Iran. 5:30 in the evening, satellite missile strike Tel Aviv. Day 24, a prolonged automatic weapon firefight is overheard at the residence of the Crown Prince of Arabia in Riyadh. Day 25 strikes on Shiraz store facilities in Iran. 4 USA helicopters are shot down in the Strait of Hormuz. Power outages in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. Power blackouts in Cuba because of gas crisis. Port Arthur, Texas gas refinery in USA is disabled, potentially through hacking the SCADA industrial systems. Day 25, Iran sends a warning against Israel that they will utilize engineering maps to strike the precise locations of bomb shelters in Israel. Day 26 of Operation Promise for Roaring Fury. The AI bomber superweapon. It's still active daily in selecting non-combatants, striking homes with families. Additionally, the Hermes Reaper drones are selecting and striking vehicles with rockets in Gaza. The same AI bomber superweapons being used simultaneously in Lebanon and Iran with a much larger and more lethal fleet. The main responsibility of the AI superweapon falls on Israel in seeking officials and officers. The USA concentration is infrastructure degradation. Strategic constraints of the distance and size of the mission are stringing USA forces along a long, thin line. And this week, heavy focus shifts to ground penetrating ordnance and incorporation of a second army of AI bombers deployed by USA. USA is newly engaging dynamic striking, which means that the target is moving. It may not be in the same place when you get there. It may not stay in the same place when you get there. Target has to be tracked using a drone network, streaming that live data to different bomber fleets and updating them as one or another arrives over a target. 2 drone networks are active over Iran, the Israeli fleet, which they used in Gaza, and a second, larger, more lethal, which was possessed by USA, that have B-52 bunker bombers. And they struck in frequency in Iran that week. B-52, they must refuel 3 times to get to Tehran and back, and generally carry 24 bombs in each plane. The USA warfare strategy in Iran, it's a fragile logistical network that they are surging toward disempowering Tehran. Iran is counteroffending with satellite missiles only. And the satellite missiles each have a wider demolition radius than the biggest ordnance deployed by the USA bunker bomb. So the Iranian strategy of war now is to deploy all satellite missiles, and therefore there has been absence of the anti-air defense. So all of the airplanes are being able to get into the skies of Tehran and to Iran. They are not making an effort to try to um, anti-aircraft warfare. So therefore, the United States is not fighting anyone right now. They're not fighting anyone. They're simply running, dumping, and Iran is not fighting anyone right now. They're simply firing. And this is why the miraculous lack of casualties of soldiers, the lack of deaths between the soldiers is being seen and witnessed now. The maritime supply for a navy to get to the Arabian Gulf, it's too expensive for a military to sustain. They need a fixed and reinforceable logistical chain, and it's the beginning and ending of any battlefront. One alternate route represents a more practical and effective potential to advance. The port of Beirut has Route 30 highway. It's a 1-hour drive from Damascus, where the two highways in all of the region, both of them lead to Tehran. Route 90 goes through Palmyra and becomes M20 highway before it leads to Mosul, Iraq, and crosses the Iranian border onto a road system 300 kilometers west of Tehran. Route 1 crosses the Iraqi desert to Baghdad, 400 kilometers south of Tehran. Long, barren desert lands between Beirut and Tehran as a land route provides a capability for evasion and hiding, whereas in a maritime route, aboard an ocean vessel, troops would be unable to endure any kind of combat. Day 26 in Gaza, minutes after midnight, drones deployed machine gun fire near the cemetery of Nuseirat. A drone dropped small ordnance over a tent in El Mawasi, killing a family. Hundreds in Deir al-Balah were evacuated within minutes, and then a AI bomber struck, burning 100 tents. Early morning that same day, 4 policemen struck in Gaza. The death of the police in Gaza this month, it rises to 30 at least killed in the line of duty. The most sophisticated war machine interface that man has ever seen being wielded on a human population, an exiled government who is actually confined into a death camp. This day 26, the Israelis, they move forward an execution law in their parliament so that they could override prohibitions of international law of war that against executing prisoners of war. So they would execute all prisoners of war. The domestic military would be then transformed through the forgery of law, that they could use police to partake in execution of prisoners of war, though the police becomes a paramilitary in that moment, and non-combatants are stripped of the right to surrender along with the combatants. There's no more right for safe haven. A combatant, enemy combatant, should never be executed if he surrenders his weapon. He has the right to repatriation to his country. It's illegal and it's a war crime to kill non-combatants. Mass killing of prisoners is an extermination scheme, and it's something that only a government could think of or perpetrate. Day 26, strikes on Al-Baraz industrial zone, Qazvin, Iran, with secondary explosions. Strikes on Bushehr nuclear facility. Strikes assassinate General Amir Mohammadi and handfuls of nuclear scientists. Strikes on Bandar Anzali port on the Caspian Sea. Strikes on Navy production sites in Tehran. Iran satellite missile strikes on official Mirav Ben Ari at home, strikes Mossad chief Roman Goffman at an intelligence facility in Tel Aviv, strikes the factory where thousands of Israelis worked, many dead and wounded, strikes on Rotem Amphrit phosphate industrial complex in the Negev, strikes on Kuwait airport fuel storage, strikes on Iraq army troops at Habanea base, Anbar, killing 7 soldiers, strikes in Lebanon, kill paramedics, drone strikes in port of Ust-Luga in the Baltic Sea, with raging fires on the waterfront near Moscow, disabling $500 million of gas daily. 27 day in the first hours of the morning, strikes on Khuzestan Steel in Avaz, more Barke Steel, Sagzi Industrial Town in Isfahan, Industrial Town, Islam Shahrir, Albraz Industrial in Kazvin, Iran. Extreme lightning storms rise over Dubai and Abu Dhabi in the darkness of the early morning. Strikes kill Commodore Ali Reza Tangsiri of the Iran Navy in Bandar Abbas. A convoy of Israeli tanks and bulldozers, accompanied by infantry, is ambushed by Hezbollah in El Kantara, Lebanon. Day 28 in the first hours of the morning, strikes on Kashan, Iran, kills military leaders. Several megaship vessels are strike and burned near Kasham Island in the Strait of Hormuz. The Mari Nari and another ship under the flag of the Marshall Islands. Strikes kill General Benhem Rizei, Deputy of Navy Intelligence. General Ahmed Vahidi in Iran. Strikes on the Iraq nuclear reactor, missile storage sites. A strike on a tent in Deir al-Balah, Gaza, kills Abdul Rahman Kember. Strike on an airbase in Saudi Arabia kills 12 U.S. soldiers. Israeli army meet resistance advancing towards El Bayada. Day 29, strikes repeat on the Iran steel industry. In Avaz, Fulad Kavir Steel, Isfahan, and the Iraq and Bushehr nuclear facilities in the first hours of the morning. Strikes on Dezful, strike on a government official in his apartment, Iran. Satellite missiles from Iran strike Kuwait airport radar, Port Salah in Oman. Babco Refinery Complex, Sheikh Issa Air Base, Al Had Steel Industry in Bahrain. Israeli strikes in Lebanon kill 3 commanders of Hezbollah. Strikes kill 2 in El Zaytun, Gaza. Day 29, strikes on the headquarters of the marine industry, shipbuilding plants at Sadra Port in Iran. Ground shaking strikes in Tehran. An oil reservoir burns. Strikes kill Iran nuclear scientist Mohammed Saeed and engineer Sham Khajri. Strikes on Darshir complex. Drone strikes on Erbil and Kirkuk. Satellite missile strikes on aluminum plant in the United Arab Emirates. USA report 6 gas tanker ships were struck at Kuwait. 3 journalists are struck in a vehicle in Lebanon. Ali Hassan Shaib and Mohammed and Fatima Futuni. Ahmed Abu Raida is struck in a vehicle in Khan Yunis, Gaza. Late night strike on the headquarters of Press TV, Tehran. Day 30 at 3 o'clock in the morning, a strike kills 6 police officers at a police point, and later a boy in Khan Yunis in Gaza. A blackout bomb caused widespread power outage in Tehran. Strike on Al Arabi network building. Strikes kill a parliament speaker, Galibaf, Commander Hassan Zaideh. Strikes on Tabriz petrochemical plants in Karaj. Satellite missiles from Iran strikes the Aluminum Industrial Center in United Arab Emirates, Sultan Airbase, Arabia, Kuwait. Satellite missiles strike an ammonia complex in Israel, Beersheba, and Tel Aviv Airport. Day 31 in the first hour, satellite missiles strike the port of Eilat. Strikes on Haifa petrochemical facility. USA strike Abadan oil refinery. Strikes kill Captain Majid Zakaria. Habshan Fujairah oil pipeline is declared out of service. Day 32 is the last day of March. Strikes repeating on steel industry in Tehran, Isfahan, missile and gas storage in Bandar Abbas, Shiraz. A strike kills Mahmoud al-Bayouk with his family in a home in Khan Yunis, Gaza. Strikes on a police checkpoint in Gaza, kills 2 in Rafah. strikes caused mass destruction of a Russian petrochemical complex with mass casualties in Nizhny Novgorod. Beloved Gaza, as we approach the first of the month, we know it's a special day for the enemy's war, as he always likes to pace himself in 30-day intervals. He is moving his hands towards the helpless prisoners, although his time is very short. There are 10,000 prisoners, and everyone alive has the right to justice and the right to life. What Israel is doing is to remove the right to live and remove the right to surrender from everyone by naming him a terrorist, and one day you'll all be terrorists too. He wants to strip away the wartime right for a soldier to lay down his weapon and become a prisoner of war. You'll never be a prisoner of war again. The paperwork that Israel is pushing through is to put his legal system into action against that law of war. It's to assemble his society and to force the hand of his own society. Killing prisoners, it's a supreme evil. It should shock the heart of everyone in the world, and it did. Let Lebanon know no prisoners. They know. And tell the government of Damascus and his policemen and his soldiers that the evil Israel is taking no prisoners, and it set a fire in the heart of the Syrian people. They were outraged that to hear that news would even be imagined, that they could do such a thing, that they would be able to enact it before they are stopped. Tell all of the Middle East now, this is the extermination plan being set up now in a more sophisticated and technological world that we have now. The exact same extermination plots that were done by Hitler is being enacted precisely now, and everything has been put into the palm of your hand so that you could hold this with you, that you could take this and move on it. It's the sacred right to be a prisoner of war for a military man, that he could surrender. He could become a non-combatant, and sacred that an unarmed man should never be put against machines of war and armies in the name of a government. For 20 years, they have used that word terror, and it was for one reason only, from day one to day end, that they wanted to exterminate absolutely everyone, and they do not want you to surrender, and they do not want to take prisoners. My beloved Gaza, your soul came through a nightmare, and it hurt so many lives. We saw in the past days ominous destruction in other countries. We are one half of the Mediterranean Sea. When the borders open, everyone will come towards us from all directions and often. Witnessing what is happening to the others, it's very important to our own feelings about ourselves and our whole situation. To see those armies on the march now, it's transforming our outlook, and our thoughts about what happened to us is impacting us very deeply. First, love your own humanity. And then forgive yourself and respect yourself for being a human being. This is a very important time for humanity. We have a lot of time on our hands, more than the other people who are busy with their 9-to-5 jobs and all of the other things that the people are making themselves busy with. But we are not busy. Our hands are open. We don't even have enough battery in the cell phone to be able to entertain ourselves. So our hands are open wide and free, ready for this situation. We are wounded, and we're very sensitive to this atrocities that we're watching happening. This is hurting us and having an intense impact on our souls. So we have to think about how to get world peace and how to make the world flourish in full of goodness instead, even at this critical hour, most of all. Allah Akbar and Ameen.